This is your boots on the ground at the Walt Disney World. Fish Sean Wu, and I'm here with
G Wu.
And we're riding Soren. And you're about ready to listen to the next episode of the Resort Loop podcast with Tim and Bob.
Or Bob and Tim. Roll them!
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
If you're standing, please hold on to the handrails and stay clear of the doors until the monorail stops completely and the doors open.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. This is episode 141. Bob, how about that open?
G Woo now.
G Woo.
She needs to get her own show.
She is adorable.
She's fantastic. I think, you know what, listening to that, I think we should get both of them on. I think that would be a great show. They could, G Woo could give us a young girl's perspective.
How cool would that be?
For living right down there. That's got to be awesome for her. That's fantastic.
Oh,
so,
man.
Fish Sean Wu, thanks so much for that open.
Thanks, Sean. That's awesome.
We really appreciate that. Tim, before we get started,
yes,
we got an email.
We did.
May I read the email?
Yes.
All right. This is from good friend of the show, Rebecca Toon. She says, "Hi guys. After listening to the last couple of shows where you guys have discussed most relaxing rides." That was fun. And more relaxed styles of touring. How about a trip report episode that showcases the other side of the coin?
Oh.
On our recent trip to Walt Disney World last week, my two teenage girls and I went full speed ahead, including Saturday where we hit all four parks. Not only did we visit all four parks in one day, we also managed to ride every form of Disney transportation.
Wow. Along
the way, we experienced some of Disney's newest shows, attractions. Frozen Sing-Along, anyone? How about building a snowman in Florida? And learn some great tips and tricks for coping with the heat and crowds of summer in Orlando.
Oh, that sounds incredible.
Goes on to say, let me know if you're interested or would like to hear more. I'd love to be a guest on the show. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. That's very nice of her.
Wow.
If this one doesn't work out, we have a trip scheduled for the end of September as well. Maybe a live report from the Food and Wine Festival could be fun. That'd be awesome.
That would be. We need to get her on the show.
We should try and do that. Yeah. So, thank you for letting me read that, Tim. So what's the show about today, Tim?
Well, strangely enough, on the show today, we have Rebecca Toon.
What?
I know.
Nobody told me.
Oh, the chances of this are astronomical. Rebecca.
We can't pull that off, can we?
No, we didn't. She heard all our rehearsals before the show, which were nil and none. But Rebecca, thanks for joining us on ResortLoop.com.
My pleasure, Bob and Tim. It's great to be here.
Well, it's great to have you. That when you sent the email, it was Tim and I are looking at each other like, that would be awesome.
Let's do it.
Well, it certainly fell in line with sort of the other side of the coin to what we've been doing recently. So it seemed kind of fun.
Well, tell us a little bit when. So you were there, a couple of weeks ago now?
We were there August 14th through the 18th. So we just returned a few days ago and jumped right back into school. But it was well worth it.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah.
So you just went full steam ahead. Tell us a little bit about that.
We did. This is a trip that we take. It's called our girls only trip, and we take it every August just before school starts back up. And it was a little special this year because my daughter and her best friend will be turning 16 this year. So this was sort of a, let's make it a big trip kind of 16 extravaganza. And so we planned, everything around them. And we were staying in the Little Mermaid rooms over at Art and Animation because they are Little Mermaid fanatics. And it's so funny to have watched them. Between my daughter and I, we've been to Disney World about 36 times.
Wow.
And her friend that was with us has only been a handful. But it's been funny to watch them go through that phase when they were very small and they loved the characters, just sort of outgrowing them for a bit. And now they've sort of come full circle where now visiting the characters is a huge deal again. So they love The Little Mermaid. She is their idol. And so I managed to snag a room at Art of Animation for the days we were there. And wouldn't you know, we went to check in on Thursday, and the lady at the counter said, "You're so lucky. We'd love to upgrade you."
Ooh. Right.
And in all my years of going to Disney and praying for an upgrade, the girls almost kicked the legs right out from underneath me.
Right.
So that I could, say, as much as I would love to say yes, I'm actually going to have to decline this time, because otherwise I'll be sleeping outside the whole week.
Now, was that an upgrade to go over to Pop Century?
No, actually it was an upgrade to go over to the Lion King suites.
Wow.
Ooh. And I won't say I wasn't tempted.
Yeah.
But they really had their hearts set on the Little Mermaid rooms. And, of course, we kept hearing, it's far away, it's far away, it's far away. And, of course, my response was, the room could be in Nova Scotia, and they would happily skip and hop all the way there because they were just that excited. So I turned it down, and they said, "No problem, your room is ready, you can check in right now." And so that was a lot of fun, and they loved the room. I can't say enough great things about Art of Animation. We had a perfect stay there. The rooms are beautifully themed. The shower is amazing. And just the icons around the property are just phenomenal. So we had a great stay there. We did the Princess Breakfast over in Norway and World Showcase and 1900 Park Fair, so they could meet the stepsisters. And just along the way, we sort of accidentally gave this trip the Jack Skellington trip name, because I don't know if you or the listeners have ever watched the movie A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, yeah. But
there's this part where he enters Christmas Town, and he's so overwhelmed that he's walking around going, "What's this? What's this? What's this?"
Right.
And that is one of the things that amazes me about Disney is we've been 36 times, and we go and still find these amazing new things that we've never seen. Right. So it's always an adventure. And this time it was a particularly large adventure. We tried new things. The first day we were there, we went to Beaches and Cream and tried the new Mickey Pants Sundae, which is a little bit smaller version of the kitchen sink.
Right.
How'd you like
but
that?
It comes with these cute little Mickey pants that you can bring home.
Right. We have those. My wife is actually using ours as a napkin holder. So it's sitting right on our counter. Yeah.
I actually took it to work with me, and it's sitting on my desk right now holding some notepads. And it's been quite the conversation starter. So we had that our first night. I will give you a quick tip here. If you're going to have the Mickey Pants Sundae and you can do it, have it over at Beaches and Cream rather than over in the Magic Kingdom, because if you can have it over at Beaches and Cream, they're much better about letting you customize it and sort of get what you want. So if you are a little bit pickier about your ice creams, they'll let you kind of do whatever you want with it.
Absolutely. And another little tip to that is you can then walk it down to the restrooms right there.
Yes.
And clean it out.
Absolutely. Now, I will say we had a wonderful waitress who offered to take it in the back and wash it and put it in a bag for us before we ever left the restaurant. So she was definitely on point for the day.
There you go. They probably saw me do that, go down and ruin their bathrooms with a bunch of chocolate fudge. And it looked horrible. But
oh, man. It was a mess. But we had a lot of fun diving into that. And they made a big deal of the birthday celebration that we were having. They brought her out a card and a balloon, and that was a lot of fun. So that was one of the new things that we tried. We tried the Cronut over at Epcot, which is a wonderfully delightful little treat. That's like a cross between a croissant and a donut.
Oh.
I could have gone home right after that. Happy.
Probably could have run home after
I
that.
probably should have run home. I did not. I had another bite instead. But it was wonderful. And we did a lot of extra things. We did Be Our Guest. We managed to get a reservation there for dinner and had a wonderful dinner there at Be Our Guest. And I got kidnapped by the Beast because of being impertinent, apparently.
Wow.
he walked by, and I have to say I'd never seen the beast. And he walked by, and I just sort of, to my daughter and her friend, I said, "Oh my goodness, he's huge." And he stopped dead in his tracks and turned around and came over to my table, and he just stared at me. And then he kind of lunged at me and growled. And I squealed like a girl. I squealed. I totally squealed. And then he sort of grabbed my arm and walked away with me, and the waitress had to rescue me. But
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a fun night there. So we got up Saturday morning, and the plan for Saturday was Animal Kingdom. And, you all say you can't spend a whole day in Animal Kingdom. Well, I've actually found a way that you could technically spend the whole day in Animal Kingdom. Because what happened was we got up for Animal Kingdom. We had fast passes for Cali River Rapids, the safari, and then finally Everest. So our plan was to get there for rope drop because we really wanted to get there early and start the day.
Absolutely.
And, it's 3 girls, 2 being teenagers, so we didn't quite get there for rope drop. We more got there for rope roll up or something. But we did get there pretty early, and we actually managed to walk on to Cali and then use our fast passes for Cali. So we got to ride it twice. And one of the new things that we noticed about Cali River Rapids as we were walking up is they've installed lockers just to the side of Cali River Rapids as you walk up. Okay. There's an entire new bay of lockers that they direct you to if you have camera equipment or cell phones or anything you don't want to get wet. They're free of charge for up to 120 minutes. You go in, and there's 2 computer kiosks, and you just sort of tell them if you want a large locker or a small locker, and they tell you what locker to go to, and you set your PIN number, and you throw your stuff in, and you're all ready. So for me, who tends to carry a giant camera everywhere she goes, the lockers were very welcome.
Yeah, that's really a great addition, yeah.
Fantastic idea. Of course, we saw everybody, there were people literally standing there getting undressed, and I'm like, I don't really think that's in the spirit of the ride, but whatever. So we rode Cali a couple times. I will say I heard the funniest phrase I've ever heard on a ride in Disney World. We were walking up, and there's a young boy with his family, and he's talking to his dad, and he goes, "Hey, Dad." And he's like, "Can you poop on this ride?" I looked, and I was like, if he doesn't answer, I'm going to. Because I don't think we're going to be on the same boat. And of course, his dad was like, absolutely not. And I'm like, where is that ride? Because that's frightening. But
yeah, that does beg the question, what ride is appropriate for that?
What ride is that a yes on? No. So we were on Cali a couple times. We did the safari, which is always fun. And we got over to Everest, and we saw the clouds rolling in. And we thought, oh, no big deal. It always rains in Florida. So we got in the line anyway, got just to the last room right before you board the ride. And they had to shut the ride down because of thunder and lightning. Oh. And, not a big deal. They always say, we don't know how long it's going to be closed. You're more than welcome to wait in line, but we can't tell you when we're going to reopen. Mm-hmm. So, we have a quick meeting. What are we going to do? And we decided we're going to give it a while and see if they reopen, because usually those storms pass fairly quickly. Mm-hmm. So another tip that we discovered while we were there and waiting in a few lines, if you have a smartphone, there is an app that you can download called Heads Up. Very fun game. You basically select the person that's it, and they take the phone and hold it up on their forehead, and a word flashes, and the other people participate in trying to get them to guess that word.
Oh, okay.
The great thing about this game is you can customize a deck. So while we were traveling, we actually customized our own Disney deck with Disney phrases and Disney words and Disney places. And so when we had to wait in line, we would play this game. And we were amazed by the participation from random strangers.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a great app. It's like 99 cents to build your own. Money well spent for those who have to wait in line.
Yeah, that's a great tip.
It was a lot of fun. We engaged the people behind us, and they played along with us. And before you know it, actually 45 minutes had passed, and unfortunately the storm had not. So we said, all right, well, we're going to go ahead and step out of line. So we stepped out of line, and we decided that it was a bit bigger storm than we anticipated. So we headed back to the hotel for a bit of a rest and some dry clothes. And we had an early reservation at 1900 Park Fair that night.
That's a good one.
Which is a good one, especially with girls, because the stepsisters are just hilarious, as is Lady Tremaine.
Oh, she's wonderful.
And what I will say, one of the things we noticed about the characters this time, which was so fantastic, is that as the kids grow up and get older, I find that they do a fantastic job of sort of tailoring their behavior to whatever age group the kids are. So Cinderella walked up, and she could kind of tell that my girls were older, but they were really still interested in talking to her. And so she said, oh, what is that? Is that your cell phone? And she said, yes. And she says, I've heard of those. And she said, I've been practicing my Cinder selfies. And this became a thing. And she was so excited to tell my 16-year-old girls that her dress had pockets. And so if someone gave her a gift, she could put them right in her pocket. And my girls were mesmerized by her. And so I appreciate the fact that no matter what age you are, that they do a fantastic job of sort of, meeting you where you are and being, perfect, whatever age you are. So it's really great.
Absolutely. I just saw a post on one of the Facebook Disney groups that someone was asking that exact question. How old is a good time to take a kid to Disney World? And really, any age is the perfect age, because they do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think there is a good age or a bad. I mean, I have pictures spanning her entire 16 years, and they're all precious for some reason or another,
Right.
So that was perfect. So we had dinner, and we were sitting on the couch in the Grand Floridian, and they were playing music, and there were children dancing, and it was just the perfect Disney moment. And I said, I'm thinking, and I have a proposition for you. I'm like, it's still early, and we could actually hit all 3 other parks before we go to bed. And immediately they were just like, yes! So we sat for a moment, devised a plan. We were going to go to Epcot first. MGM, the Frozen fireworks over at MGM were the big thing for the evening. That was the big thing on our agenda. So I said, we can actually work in Epcot for a little while, hit MGM, and then do extra magic hours over at the Magic Kingdom, because they were open until 1 o'clock on Saturday night. And so we had to lay down the ground rules, because if we're going to visit all 4 parks, there had to be ground rules. And really the only rule that we came up with was, if you count the park, you have to do at least 2 things in the park.
Oh,
and
sounds good.
We had already decided that Animal Kingdom counted, because we did Cali River Rapids, and we did the safari, and we did my daughter's personal favorite attraction in Animal Kingdom, the jalapeno pretzel. And she would have gone over there and ate that and come home, because that's just her favorite thing. And it was so funny, because we got there and they hadn't delivered the pretzels yet, and we kept going back up to the stand and saying, are the pretzels here? Are the pretzels here? So finally, when the pretzels arrived, the cast member actually walked one out to my daughter and said, this is for you. It's free.
Wow. Very nice.
You've been so patient. Happy birthday. So that was very cool. So we hopped on the monorail over to Epcot, and we managed to do Spaceship Earth and Mission Space. I learned that you should not probably eat sushi at 1900 Park Fair and follow that up with Mission Space.
Ooh.
There are repercussions. There are serious repercussions to that. But we all survived, and it was good. And we wandered the World Showcase for a bit, wandered out the International Gateway, saw the first single firework of illuminations as we were stepping into the boat. And of course the girls are like, that counts! That counts! So we hop into the boat, head over to MGM, arrive at MGM about 9:35, and the Frozen fireworks are set to start at 9:45. So we're like, okay, this is going to be tricky. The best thing we did was we agreed that we would not take bags of any kind, so that we didn't have to stop at bag check.
Oh,
we
yeah.
sort of just go right in, which was fortunate for us.
Right. Slow you down.
Slow you down. So right into MGM we went. And honestly, you know, I know they've extended the Summer Frozen Spectacular for a while now. So if listeners get a chance to go and you get in there, even anywhere close to 9:45, if you stand anywhere there on Main Street or on the main road there walking into Hollywood Studios, you've got a great view of these fireworks. There's some stage action that takes place up closer to the Sorcerer's Hat. But they have huge screens posted along the boulevard, and you can see everything that's happening on the stage. And really, the best view of the fireworks are a little bit further back. So the further back you go, the better view of the fireworks you have. And so 9:45 rolled around, and the Frozen fireworks took place. And I have to tell you, these are spectacular. Just, I was enthralled, actually.
Wow. Now this is in addition to Fantasmic still?
Is, and this is one of the best tips we had for the entire trip. Was we got there, like I said, about 9:35. The fireworks started around 9:45, and it was to me it was fascinating because I've never seen fireworks over Hollywood Studios. I've always seen Fantasmic,
right?
It contains. So this was a new experience for me, and of course, the music from Frozen is incredibly powerful. And so there's a video on my Facebook that I caught with the "Let It Go" song, and there's these fireworks exploding and this voice belting out, and it's moving. I mean, it really is. And so we watched the fireworks, which was just spectacular, and then they ended right around just after 10 o'clock. So instead of turning around and leaving en masse with the rest of the park, we sort of swam like fish upstream back down Sunset Boulevard, and there's a 10:30 showing of Fantasmic. And so we literally walked in at 10:15 for the 10:30 showing of Fantasmic, and we were sitting on the front row.
Wow.
Whoa.
It was practically empty. In fact, there were whole sections, you know how they have it all sectioned off.
Right.
There were whole sections that were completely empty. So we were sort of in that center Mickey section, front row center. And it was a little tricky getting back there because, again, you were sort of fighting the crowd. But I just said, look, if we get separated, this is where we're going to meet. We'll meet right outside the entrance. And we worked our way up there and went in. And, man, it was so perfect because we watched Fantasmic. And my daughter's friend that was with us had not seen that show. And she was enthralled. She was mesmerized by that. And so then when it was over, we left the park with just this very small group that had been at Fantasmic, and there was literally no one waiting at the bus stop for Magic Kingdom. So it was the perfect crowd beater. You know, you just sat down, watched the show, and then you left, and it was so relaxed.
Wow, that's excellent.
So great tip there. If you're not pressed for time, go back, see the show, and then leave, and you missed most of the crowd that's trying to leave right after the Frozen fireworks.
Right. Yeah, well, at most parks, as soon as the fireworks are done, the park's closing. So everybody assumes, okay, we got to go.
We have to leave.
So, yeah, that is...
No, came by cattle prods. They were very nice.
Get out of our park.
Yeah, get out of here. We have to leave.
They break those out after midnight, trust me.
I will say that, we lingered just for a moment after Fantasmic, and they were coming through there pretty speedily with their trash claws and, all this, to clean up, and they exit you right out the park. There's no wandering. I mean, there's a straight exit out the park from Fantasmic.
Right.
But it was well worth it because it was so calm and relaxed, and there wasn't a lot of crowds. So we caught the bus over to Magic Kingdom for our fourth park of the day.
This is cool.
And it was great. We were able to do Space Mountain. It was interesting because it was the first time I've seen it, because I wondered how they would check for whether or not you were staying. Now that they have Magic Bands for everyone, including people who aren't on property,
right.
I was curious how they would know that we were on property versus someone who just had the Magic Band. And sometimes, I guess, simple works, because on every ride that we rode during Extra Magic Hours, all they did was stand at the gate, and as you walked by, they said, "What hotel do you stay at?" We're like, "Art of Animation." So I guess if you were slightly unscrupulous, you could just make up a Disney hotel and go right in. But the one place that we did notice they were checking, they were actually scanning the bands and making sure they were resort dwellers, was at the mine train.
Oh, sure.
And they were, and even during Extra Magic Hours, the line for that was about 95 minutes the entire evening.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So we did not get to experience that this trip.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's too bad. But yeah, those lines are pretty extensive. So
It was, and I actually think that part of the line was them scanning that band.
Yeah, well, it could be, yeah.
Because it took, I mean, it was like a handheld scanner, and they kind of had to scan every one of them, and so I think that was a bit time consuming. But there'll be other times to ride that. But we did get on Space Mountain and Haunted Mansion, and we met Ariel in her Ariel meet and greet grotto.
Wow.
Which was a lot of fun. And we were actually there until we closed down the park at 1:00, and lingered in front of the castle for a few minutes to take pictures. And you know how you do, you just stare at the castle.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
you got to take it all in, hoping that somehow they'll just let you stay.
Oh yeah. So we eventually wandered out, and there wasn't a lot of traffic going over to Art of Animation. But I will say, of all the resorts, Art of Animation were the people that went hard that day, because we had the longest bus line.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And they brought in this new bus that I had not seen.
Oh,
and
the
it was
double one?
The double-decker bus.
Yeah.
So we got on, and we went all the way to the back, and the middle, like, swivel.
It's a bendy bus.
Bendy bus.
It is. And the bus driver got on, and he said, "I just want you to know, if you're in the back and at some point the driver disappears, don't worry." He said, "However, if you're in the front and the bus driver disappears, you're screwed."
Then you have a problem.
I was just like, oh my goodness. It was a very cool bus, and it was, again, it kind of ended the night perfectly, because we had literally been on every park, on every form of transportation. And so this is just sort of that extra, bang for our buck there, riding on that bus. I told the girls, I said, sleep in. I'm going to run over to MGM and get tickets for the Frozen sing-along, and I'll meet you guys over at Epcot for the Princess Breakfast. So I got up and went over there for park opening, because I wasn't sure how hard the tickets would be to get for the sing-along, because once they're gone, and you don't get in. And so I went over there and got in line for the Frozen sing-along, and we got tickets for the 4:00 show. And if you get a chance to see the show, I would absolutely encourage you to do it. Whether you enjoy the music or not. I originally got the tickets for the kids because I thought they will love this, and they did. What I didn't expect was that I would enjoy it so much. Oh. And as Disney does, they find a connection for every person. And the guy and the lady that were telling the story of Arendelle and the Anna and Elsa story were so hilarious. And they had that humor that would sometimes go over the children's head, but always hit the mark with the adults. And they were endearing and funny and self-deprecating and just a joy to watch and listen to. And it was funny because, the show sort of ends with everyone singing Let It Go. And it's quite funny to see these big, burly dads just singing along with their daughters with wild abandon. And so the show ended, and it was so funny because I was actually the one who went, "We have to see the show again." So it's a great show. If you get the chance, go see it. We did the sing-along. We went in and watched at the Wandering Oaken Trading Post. We watched the ice skaters do a performance, and they were phenomenal. And then the girls got to go in and play in the snow, which is never something you could say for Florida. And they get to build a snowman right there in the middle of the park, which was a lot of fun. And my daughter, when I told her that I was going to be on the podcast tonight, she was like, "You have to tell them about the cupcakes." Oh. And as you go in, there's a little bakery there, and they have cupcakes and cake pops, and they really are phenomenal. Don't miss those. They're fantastic. And if you're looking for frozen merchandise, that is the place to go.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, there were some questions about the frozen merchandise.
I remember that. Yeah. Well, they had the dresses, which has been the hottest commodity that I've heard of. But aside from that, they also have the dolls, which are very popular right now. And if you go and your daughter or son is a fan of Anna and Elsa, they have a plush doll of Elsa. And if you flip her over and turn her dress inside out, she becomes Anna.
Ooh.
So you get a little extra bang for your buck there.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you get instead of having to buy 2 dolls and lug them around, you get to buy 1 and keep up with it.
There you go.
Nice.
Disney? Wait a minute, what are they doing? They're supposed to be selling 2 dolls. What are they doing?
Well, they also do that.
All right. Very
but, good. I think they're trying to give the parents a break because it's so cute. So cute.
That's awesome.
Now, I got to ask you, because we stayed also at the Art of Animation in the Little Mermaid room, and all my daughter kept saying was, "I would have loved this 5 years ago. I would have loved." And she just turned 16 herself, and she said, "If I could have been here when I was 10 years old, this would have been a dream come true." So, did your daughter kind of feel that way, that if she wishes it would have been there earlier for her?
She absolutely wishes it had been there earlier, but she has a very different appreciation for that particular character now. Mm-hmm. And when we went to the Princess Breakfast, I've always told them, if you talk to them and engage them, they will talk back to you. They're not, one-dimensional. They will actually engage you. And so she asked Ariel at the Princess Breakfast in Norway, she said, "I would like to know what your best dating advice is."
Ooh.
And I thought, wow, that's a pretty deep question for somebody who probably talks to toddlers most of the day.
Yeah, really.
And without skipping a beat, she goes, "Honey, there are always more fish in the sea."
Oh, nice.
And it was so perfect for who she was. It was that moment where you go, this is why we spend our money here. Because you guys get it.
That's
so,
right.
Yes, she would have loved to have had it 5 years, 10 years ago. But they had a really interesting appreciation for it at this age. It was very different, but it was a deep and abiding love. Of course, they fought every night over who's going to get to sleep next to the picture of Eric on the wall.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's dreamy.
Yeah. We have that picture in our photo album. Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And so they, that was a funny thing. It was really funny. We would go and they wanted to take pictures of every icon they saw along the way. And it was a lot of fun. So, one of the other things that I will say that we did, which saved us, as far as, a good tip if you're headed down there, is we would make our fast passes, and we actually didn't make a lot before we headed down. We made them the night before based on where we wanted to go for the next day. And doing it that way, the only thing we missed out on were the mine train and the meet and greet with Anna and Elsa. We were able to get everything else we wanted to do the night before. So a little tip there. But what we would do in the morning is I would pull up on my phone, I would pull up our Fast Pass list for the day, and I would take a screenshot of it, and then I would save that as the lock screen on my iPhone. And it was incredibly useful because I didn't have to log into the app every time I wanted to see what time our next Fast Pass was for. And so it didn't drain my battery quite as quickly.
That's a great tip.
That's a smart move there.
So it saved us a little battery time. And then the other thing that I would share is don't forget, anywhere you go in Disney, any park you're in, Ice water is always free.
I have used that, yes.
And
Absolutely.
in August, that is a lifesaver because it's hot. Actually, saying it's hot in Florida in August is sort of like saying Lincoln had a bad seat in the theater. Oh, it's really hot there.
Wow, too soon, Rebecca.
Wow.
Too soon.
You kind of do what you can.
She meant Hall of Presidents, Bob. It's okay.
Oh,
It's fine.
Is
Yeah.
that the one? Oh, okay.
There's no air conditioning up there. That's what she was worried about.
Oh, okay.
And then we ride rock and roller coaster, and she's like, all right, this is what we're going to do till we get to the rock, because she's in training for cross country. And she's like, we're going to do wall sits, and we have to do at least 5 wall sits before we get through the line.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, that's too much work.
Yeah.
I'm going to say go with the game app instead of
There you go. Oh,
There you go. There you go. That is awesome. Sounds like you had a fantastic time.
we did.
That's
Always.
And that's a great idea, a girls-only trip.
The
That
girls
is,
only trip was good. If you are the oldest one on the girls only trip, I would suggest lots of Joffrey's coffee along the way.
oh, there you
Absolutely.
go. Shameless plug. Love it.
Shout out to them for keeping me going for 5 days.
Absolutely.
I was happy to come home with some so that I can drink it now again.
Absolutely.
Very good. Very good stuff.
Any things that you would avoid the next time you go down?
You know, I would say the first time we saw the sing-along show, we made the mistake of thinking that we really needed to be there because they said, you know, if you don't show up 10 minutes prior to the show, we can't let you in. So being the overachievers that we are, we showed up 30 minutes early, and we found ourselves standing in the blaring hot sun with no relief in sight for a good half hour. Because they don't really start letting you inside until just before the show. So I think we would have timed it a little better, showed up a little later. And, you know, I would tell people to smile more. I remarked to my girls, I said, there's a lot of unhappy people walking around.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was the heat or what, but it just struck me more than usual that, you know, there were some unhappy people wandering through. So smile, you know, you're on vacation, have a good time. But other than that, you know, it was one of those trips where everything fell into place, and we had a really great time. I would not eat the sushi at 19.
had the biggest tip.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was delicious. I just think there's something about sushi and buffet that is sort of an oxymoron. I don't know. But yeah, or if you're going to eat the sushi at 1900 Park Fair, don't get on Mission Space.
That's probably the kicker there.
Yeah. Spaceship Earth, probably a good call. You can relax and, right.
Shaken, not stirred.
Spaceship Earth is probably a little better.
Oh, my gosh. Well, Tim, that is all I have. Questions for Rebecca. I appreciate her coming on. I had no idea when I read that email. You should have stopped me in the middle of it.
I want you to make a fool of yourself, Bob. Let's be honest.
Then you should have never invited me to do this a year and a half ago.
Rebecca, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Where can they find you?
I can be found on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all under BeccaBerry73, and also as an admin at the WDisneySecrets.com forums.
Now, I understand you might have a food and wine report for us later.
We are actually headed down on September 24th. We are there. It's a 2-legged trip for us. The 24th through the 29th, we are there with my parents. It'll be my parents' first visit. We're celebrating his 1-year cancer-free anniversary.
Oh, awesome.
Congratulations.
Yes.
And then they and my children are departing for home, and I will be there with my spouse and our best friends for a week at the Food and Wine Festival, and we are actually staying at the Boardwalk.
Ooh, good choice.
And it is the first time we have rented DVC points.
Okay.
So, a little excitement there.
You have to let us know how all that goes for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that's a good call. If for anybody going to Food and Wine, those are probably the two best resorts to be at is Boardwalk and Beach Club.
And Beach Club, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So we get the Boardwalk, the second leg of the trip. The first leg, we're actually going to be in a car suite over at Art of Animation. So,
that'll be awesome.
yeah, very, very excited about that.
Yeah, isn't that a nice wing? It's kind of quiet over there, and that little moon-shaped
Love those
pool.
cozy cones.
Yes, aren't those?
Love those cozy cones. I can't wait to put my mom in a cozy cone.
Oh my gosh, I could have stayed in one of those all day. It was fantastic.
I am definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rebecca, thanks so much.
No, thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, our pleasure.
Tim, that's all I got.
Oh, I don't think I can follow anything up with that. Rebecca, thanks again. I'm Tim Scott. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Resort Loop Tim. We have the website, ResortLoop.com.
I'm Resort Loop Bob on the Twitter and Instagram, and don't forget Facebook /Resort Loop, and rate us on iTunes. And where else can they listen, Tim?
How about Rebecca? Where else can they listen?
Oh, the Stitcher.
The Stitcher. Excellent.
Stitcher.
Everybody, thanks for listening to the Gateway to the Magic.
See you, everybody.